How on earth are we ever going to build Zion, one heart, one mind, when there is so much disunity among us? When there seems to be so many factions and this side and that side of different issues and such a broad spectrum, but different positions deeply held. And I'm just talking in the church, let alone those who've already left or those that are attacking from outside. The world itself is very broad with positions deeply held. But even among us that claim to be part of Zion, it seems like we're having a hard time becoming one heart and one mind with each other. How's that going to change? Well, section 78, the Lord gives us some hints. In fact, maybe the Lord himself likes alliteration as much as I do, because he's going to give us 3 C's that will help us establish that kind of unity in Zion. Now, it reminds me of 4 C's that I was warned about the day I got hired to be a seminary teacher 25 years ago. They said, beware throughout your career of these 4 C's. Do not compare, do not compete, do not criticize, and do not complain. And I remember at the time thinking, that's really helpful advice. We're all on the same team trying to teach the rising generation together. We shouldn't compete or compare ourselves with others. And when it comes to just doing our best, but despite our own imperfections and others' imperfections, you can seek and suggest better ways without becoming critical or complaining. You understand? We could have added a C of contention. Hopefully that's not on the list of things that describe us either. But to replace those C's with a better set of words that can help us become the Zion God intends for us, notice them as they begin to appear in section 78. Let's start in verse 7, okay? For if you will, and that's a big if, is this really what you want? Well, your actions are going to let me know. But if you will, that I give unto you a place in the celestial world, the one I just described to you in the visions of section 76, well, here's what you got to do. You must prepare yourselves. And how do you do that? By doing the things which I have commanded you and required of you. There's our first C, commandments. Do you want to be prepared for celestial glory? Well, then you have to live by celestial law. Otherwise, you will feel so out of place in the celestial kingdom. Everyone doing things that you don't know how to do. Everyone having mastered attributes that we haven't fully developed. Commandments do not earn heaven. They help us learn heaven, as Brad Wilcox has beautifully said before. Okay? And so how do we get prepared? This is the wax on, wax off we learn in the Karate Kid, okay? This is reconciling our will to the will of God. This is developing righteous reflexes. And again, commandments are not earning us heaven. It's not that kind of qualification. It's that kind of preparation that I know how it's done. Here's my righteous reflexes, okay? That's the first step. We sing this from primary age on. Keep the commandments. Keep the commandments. In this, there is safety and peace. Now, that's the first C. But if that starts to feel like, there are more rules to keep, well, remember, crowned with commandments, not a few. But what if there's an exceptional circumstance and this commandment butts up against this principle and I don't know what to do? I think too often we're divided and we're not unified because we're picking different commandments that each side is trying to keep. Well, I'm trying to keep this one. Well, you're breaking this one, and this is the one I'm keeping. You understand? It's our strengths that sometimes divide us because we're picking opposite parts of the contrary. There's another C I would add. But notice this verse, 78 verse 8 through 10. Now verily, thus saith the Lord, it is expedient, really important here, what really needs to be done, that all things be done unto my glory by you who are joined together in this order. Or in other words, now that's fascinating. What he just described is what he's going to describe again. So what he's about to say is a repetition of this concept about doing things for God's glory and our unification. Okay? If we'll do things for God's glory and so that we can be joined together, or in other words, let me give you an illustration of what that looks like. Let my servant Newell K. Whitney and my servant Joseph Smith Jr. and my servant Sidney Rigdon sit in counsel with the saints which are in Zion. Interesting. God's glory is our unity. Remember he said that earlier? If you're not one, you're not mine. Okay, there's something about this. You want my glory? You want to be joined together? Then you're going to have to counsel with the saints. That's the next C. Otherwise, he goes on in this verse, Satan seeketh to turn their hearts away from the truth, that they become blinded and understand not the things which are prepared for them. Interesting. Without counseling together, Satan will blind us. He might even blind us with light, the kind of light that I'm staring into truth and commandments and I'm trying to do what's right. Yeah, but you're not balanced with someone else that's also trying to do what's right. We have to learn to counsel together. And whether that's general leaders, there's Joseph and Sidney, whether that's local leaders, there's Newell K. Whitney, or local members, there's the saints in Zion. We've got to counsel in our councils. President Ballard used to teach that all the time. He wrote a book about that, for crying out loud. Have we read it? Are we living it? Are we trying to counsel together? We'll never be Zion if we don't. You understand? Commandments are key, but sometimes they can be pretty cold and clinical, and this is how it is. This is one size fits all. It's like, I don't know about this situation. And again, if there seem to be competing or conflicting commandments, depending on which side of the aisle or issue people are on, there's no way we're going to be able to live by commandment alone if we haven't learned to counsel about those commandments. Okay, that's the second one. And then the third, look at verse 11 and 12. Wherefore a commandment, there's that again, I give unto you to prepare and organize yourselves by a bond or everlasting covenant, one that cannot be broken. And he who breaketh it shall lose his office and standing in the church and shall be delivered over to the buffetings of Satan until the day of redemption. So there's Satan again, waiting in the wings, ready to blind us if we don't counsel together, ready to break us if we don't keep commandments, because it's not the commandments that we break, it's us that we break against the commandments. Or he wants to, what did he say in that passage? Buffet us if we don't keep covenant. To break, to blind, and to buffet. I guess he goes with the B's. If we can't master commandment and counsel and covenant. Those are the C's that will prepare us for Zion. You see, if I'm going to keep the commandments, but I'm keeping the commandments with other people that might have a different commandment that they're emphasizing while I'm emphasizing this one. Okay, counsel is going to have to help us work through that one. But it's work, and it takes time and compromise. There's another C. And how are we going to do all that? Especially if someone bails on the compromise early. If someone ducks out of the council because they're not getting their way and they don't think it's ever going to come to some kind of an agreement. That's why we need covenant. To say, I'm not giving up on this process. I'm not giving up on you as a part of that process. I have covenanted to remain at the table with God and with my fellow saints. I have covenanted to keep on seeking to keep commandments. I have covenanted to keep on counseling until we come to a unity of the faith, until we've established a Zion of one heart and one mind, dwelling in righteousness, no poor among us. Can we keep that commandment? Can we counsel toward that end? Can we stay in a covenant that will keep us engaged in that process? That's the key for Zion. Last thing the Lord says here is verse 13. Behold, this is the preparation wherewith I prepare you, And the foundation and the ensample or example which I give unto you, whereby you may accomplish the commandments which are given you. So if you need a way to prepare, if you want to understand how to build Zion, if you need a foundation to be laid, here's the example. Here's a pattern I'm giving you that I hope you will learn to follow. And how do we follow? What kind of pattern will protect us and prepare us for Zion? Commandments and counsel and covenant. We become one with God and one with each other. And that's Zion.